Berserker class. Probably the most popular dungeon class in Skyblock. I mean, you try going into any public lobby without seeing someone in 3/4 Shadow Assassin armor and a Zombie Knight chestplate. I really realized how common Berserkers were when my video about a Berserker setup did really well, for my channel at least. You see that? That's 1,000 views. I'm a really big fan of views. I really like having views. But don't worry guys, I would never let that dictate what kind of videos I make. Okay, originally I didn't plan on making this video, but some guy gave me 15 million coins to fund it, so I had to honor his wish. By the way, shout out to this guy who funded this video, as well as all the giveaways over on my Discord, if you want to join. I mean, you don't have to, but there's like a 10 million coin giveaway going on right now at the time of recording. It's just free. It's legit free money. They tell you free money doesn't exist, but it's right here. This is evidence that free money exists. Anyways, like I said earlier, Berserker is the most chosen class out of the 5 dungeon classes in Skyblock. And as a Berserker main myself, I decided to make a guide on the typical progression of this class, including the best pets, armor, and weapons for every budget and skill level. If you're super early game, I'm talking you just hit the combat 15 requirement to enter a dungeon, you shouldn't be doing it. There is no armor within your reach that will prevent you from being one-tapped by literally everything. Dungeons, it's very scary for early game players, and you will get the fear of God put into your very soul. For those of you who are at the typical level to begin dungeons, let's start with the first armor set. I believe super heavy armor is incredibly good and versatile for early dungeons. You can find pieces of super heavy armor starting as soon as the entrance of the catacombs and further, or the auction house at really low prices. At a lower catacombs level, your stats won't be boosted as much in dungeons, and so the super heavy armor's very high defense will increase your survivability. You don't have to apply ancient or 5 stars to the armor. This is complete overkill and not necessary, and a very bad investment. I'm very bad with financial decisions. However, it is relatively cheap to apply stars to super heavy armor. In terms of reforges, you should aim for heavy or titanic for more defense and EHP, and fierce if you'd like some more damage over defense. In short, your biggest struggle going into the catacombs will be how easy you die, and the super heavy armor will keep you alive longer. In terms of weapons, I highly recommend the Flower of Truth, if you can afford it. At a price of about 3 million coins, it is a big chunk of money for someone in the early game phases. But if you plan on playing Berserker permanently for a long time, you have to get the Flower of Truth. It's going to take you very far, even up to floor 7 and beyond, and it's going to be an investment that you're going to have to make eventually as a Berserker. I'm currently Catacombs 27, and I still continue to use the Flower of Truth, which I've been carrying since floor 1. If you can't afford to drop 3 million coins on a single sword, I do recommend the Super Cleaver as a very budget dungeon sword. The Flower of Truth's heat-seeking rose, as well as the Super Cleaver's cleave ability, are both very good and efficient for room clearing as a Berserker. In terms of pet selection, my primary choice would lie on the Uncommon Griffin. Although its base stats aren't the best, its ability is where it truly shines. At a price of 1 million coins, the Uncommon Rarity Griffin gives permanent Strength 7 and Regeneration 5, which should help with damage. If survivability is still an issue, I'd recommend the Blue Whale pet, which gives high amounts of health if leveled properly. If you do go for the Blue Whale, I'd suggest Rare or higher rarity, that sounds really weird, due to its ability, which gives defense based on how much health you have. Mid-game is where it actually gets fun. You should have good survivability at this point in progression and can therefore transition to damage-based armor sets. There's only one really good option for mid-game Berserkers. I'm pretty sure you've seen this coming, but that's 3/4 Shadow Assassin. You might wonder, why 3/4? Why not the full set? The chest piece for Shadow Assassin typically costs about 20 million coins, and is only slightly better than a lot of options that cost way less. It's all around not very good of an investment. So what should you use instead of a Shadow Assassin chestplate? You have a lot of options. The most popular choice is the Zombie Knight chestplate. It gives a good balance of damage and EHP, all at an incredibly low cost. However, the Zombie Knight chestplate does have a Catacombs 16 requirement, and so up until I had Catacombs 16, I used the Zombie Soldier chestplate. It severely diminishes damage stats, but it makes up for it with a lot of health and defense, and overall good survivability stats. You can also continue to use a super heavy chestplate if you want that extra defense. Finally, you can opt for a perfect chestplate. It comes in several different tiers, however, I recommend tier 10 or higher. Although with a cost of 5.726 million coins, it is on the higher side in terms of price, but it gives insane effective health in the form of defense. You can reforge the chestplate to Fierce for damage, or Titanic for EHP. If you can afford it, I highly recommend the Ancient Reforge, which you can obtain via the Precursor Gear Reforge Stone. And I also recommend applying Livid Fragments to each piece for additional stat boosts. Fierce or Ancient are the best reforges for Shadow Assassin, and this armor set should carry you up to floor 6 comfortably. At mid-game, you should definitely have a Flower of Truth, which continues to be the primary weapon choice for Berserkers. If you can afford it, you can also buy a Livid Dagger, which has one of the highest damage per second stats in the entire game. The Livid Dagger is also great for single targets, such as mini-bosses. Okay, just a note, the rest of the video is going to be unscripted because I didn't finish writing the script, and so if quality dips very significantly at this point, at least you'll know why. In terms of pets, you should definitely be going for a Baby Yeti. Its ability, Ice Shields, allow you to gain strength as defense, depending on what level it is. This is insanely good because if you have a weapon, such as the Flower of Truth, it gives 517 strength outside of dungeons, and over 2,000 strength inside dungeons. At 15 to 16 million coins, the Baby Yeti may seem like a very big investment. But when I got my Baby Yeti, I paid almost 30 million coins for it, and I still don't regret it. It was a good purchase. It's going to be a pet that you're going to use for a long time. I'd also like to mention that in terms of reforges for your swords, I highly recommend either Withered or Fabled for your Flower of Truth. I would continue to prefer the Withered reforge for the Flower of Truth because the Flower of Truth is a strength-based weapon, and the entire Berserker class is centered around strength, and Withered does give a huge strength boost. You can obtain the Withered reforge using the Wither Blood reforge stone. However, after the strength nerf update, Withered has severely lost a lot of its previous capability and potential, which is why Fabled is also a top reforge for swords overall in the game. And now we've reached the late to end game stage of the video. You may have seen me wear this set of armor throughout the video. This is the Necron's armor. It's one of the best armors in the game, as well as the #1 best armor for the Berserker class. The entire armor set offers a ton of strength and a lot of crit damage and crit chance. However, requiring a floor 7 completion to use this armor set, it does require quite a grind to use, and at a price tag of 90 million coins, at the time of recording at least, it's a very big investment for a lot of people. If you can afford the full set of Necron's armor, you should also definitely be able to comfortably afford the Ancient Reforge, which, like, at this point at late game, you should honestly be going for that. I don't want any of you putting Fierce on your Necron's armor. Okay, it's a sin now. I'm making it a sin. However, I do continue to recommend golden heads in dungeons. Outside of dungeons, golden heads are basically worthless. They don't give out very good stats at all. Also, bro, you're blocking my camera. Golden heads are practically useless outside of dungeons. In dungeons, the golden head doubles all of your stats when you're in the floor that the helmet originates from. Just based off personal experience. If you 5-star and reforge the golden head, you will get significantly higher stats in dungeons in comparison to the Necron's helmet. At this point in the game, you should continue to use the Flower of Truth as your primary clearing weapon and a Livid Dagger if you want. At the late game stage, there are 2 new weapons that are busted. They're some of the best weapons in the game, one of which is the Axe of the Shredded. What makes it so great is its item ability. Basically, you can throw your axe just like a Livid Dagger, damaging all enemies in its path, dealing 10% melee damage. However, consecutive throws stack 2 times, but cost 2 times mana. So this weapon does require a fair amount of mana to use. It's nothing insane, but I have about 1600 mana in dungeons, and it's plenty for this weapon. It requires Zombie Slayer 8, but that's only outside of dungeons. In dungeons, you only need Catacombs level 25 to use this weapon. I did make a video on this weapon. I will throw up some gameplay if I remember to. Good for Axe of the Shredded. I might be able to... I'm regenerating all of my mana. I'm using none of my mana at all. And I'm able to consistently hit multiple targets as well. Charge this up with the damage. Yeah, there we go. Down stands no chance whatsoever. Completely melted. It's insane and completely melts bosses. At a price of 55 to 60 million coins for the Axe of the Shredded, it is a fairly large investment, but it's nothing compared to what I have next. The final weapon for the Berserker class is the Valkyrie. At nearly 500 million coins, If you can afford this weapon, I'm really confused why you're watching this video, because you're probably late to endgame. Like, you should be my sensei. I shouldn't be the one teaching you. You should be teaching me. The Valkyrie is the Berserker equivalent of the Hyperion sword. I don't have 500 million coins to drop on a Valkyrie for this video. In fact, my entire net worth in this game isn't even 500 million coins. If I sold everything I owned, I still wouldn't have enough to afford this weapon. In terms of pets, you can continue using a Baby Yeti, since your strength should be incredibly high inside dungeons, therefore giving you a lot of defense if you use this pet. I've also seen Berserkers use the Wither Skeleton pet. Its second ability, Wither Blood, which allows you to deal 50% more damage to Wither mobs, is incredibly powerful on floor 7, where a majority of the mobs are Wither type mobs. Its third ability is where it really shines. At level 100, upon hitting an enemy, you inflict 200% of your damage over 3 seconds. In short, it basically triples your damage. I'm not too familiar with any other good pets for a late game Berserker, but if you have any recommendations, I strongly recommend you put them in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. Anyways, that wraps it up for the Berserker Progression guide, I guess, of Hypixel Skyblock. So, the video's over now. Leave.